Hey everybody, and welcome to our day of comic release review video. Yep, so this is our part two to our part one we did the other day just because of the holiday mess ups and the shipping and all that kind of stuff. We've got our DC stuff now. We covered the Marvel on the previous show, but we had to do another show because there are huge DC books coming out. So, I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
And we're here with Infinity Flux Comics at our Chattanooga, Tennessee. So, in this show, we're going to be going over the DC and some Image and kind of that kind of stuff that came in with this shipment. So watch the part one, get all your Marvel news. Watch this part two, get all your DC and all the rest of the news. And always important, but even more important this time, head over to infinityflux.net where you can order these books right now because they are released.
Yep, they're released today.
Yep, today while supplies last, and you don't want to miss out on some of these because they are big and beautiful. So let's get into it with the big one of the week, Absolute Superman #2.
So good.
Yeah, this is, we were talking about it, probably one of our favorite Absolute issues of the entire swath of Absolute titles. So, what I love about this one, and I don't want to give away too much about it because so much of this Absolute books, the fun of it is the discovering of the different stuff. But I will say, in this one, it does pick up right where the previous issue left off, where Lois has come to confront this new super being. This version of Lois, of course, is not part of, she's not a reporter for the Daily Planet. She is a member of this new government.
Well, she works for the Lazarus Corporation.
The Lazarus Corporation, which I don't know if we 100% even know what they do.
Yeah, they're a big, giant, mega corporation, which means they're bad.
Yeah, exactly. But what's so great about this is some of the questions that were set up in issue one are kind of further expounded upon in this one. So we get way more interaction between Superman and Lois as she tries to take him in, and cuffs him to her, and soon learns that was not a great idea as she is pulled along for the ride with Superman, as most of this issue is action. This is really seeing the limits and more about what Superman's powers are.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about it is most of this issue is Superman. Like we get a ton of Superman in this and a bunch of Lois Lane. And we, through that interaction, we learn a little bit more about the both of them, and it's just like so well
kind
done.
of what there's a little bit more about like what's Lois in this universe and what does her job entail and all of that. So I will say you do see the cape in this, or
the cape, whatever it might be.
So we do know Superman has the suit that is, very different than his suit in the regular DC universe. It's somewhat sentient. It's got a voice and everything like that. And we do learn more about what it is. And most importantly, it's not I wouldn't say it's a spoiler, but I do want to say it is confirmed that the suit is not his powers in this. He does, it's definitely aids him in his abilities and the kind of stuff he does, but it is straight up confirmed, it's not the suit that are the superpowers, which I'm glad we learned about that it.
Yeah, because that was kind of stuck in my craw a little bit after the first one. Well, is he superpowered or does it all come from the suit? And they answer that definitively in here to where there's no question. And I'm like, thank you for doing that so early. Now I don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't have to try to figure it out anymore.
And I feel like a big part of this issue is learning more about what his suit does, what the quote-unquote cape is capable of doing, all of that, and showing how much this Superman is similar to the classic Superman. He does put saving people first. There's even a part where they talk about like the way he speaks, where it's like, I don't think this guy could tell a lie if he wanted to. He seems like the real deal. I love that. Plus, we get some more on Krypton, a flashback where we see kind of more of the events leading to where the events in issue one started. This pre-destruction of Krypton, but we see more with Laura. and Jor-El and what they're doing there, and kind of their early rumblings about what might happen
Yeah.
to Krypton.
Plus young Kal-El on Krypton, which I think is one of the most interesting parts of this
Yeah,
whole book because I want to know more about. Holy cow, Superman spent part of his life
yeah,
on Krypton, so he probably remembers it. Unlike regular Superman, where he doesn't, he doesn't have that
yeah.
background. Like I think that's wildly interesting, and I want to see more of that explored.
And you do see, that traditional like good person Superman, but on Krypton, growing up and
Yeah,
like his sense of right and wrong and all of that, which is really great. And we do get more, not more explanations, but we do get more about the mysterious character that was sitting in darkness in front of a bunch of computers that had a very brainiac look to him. We learn, I don't want to say we learn more about him, but we see more,
yeah.
and what he has to do with the Lazarus Corporation and all of that. So, uh, I could go on and on about this. You got more of the
Yeah,
peacemakers in this.
yeah, we really could talk about this for a long time because it's very meaty. There's a lot to latch on
Yeah,
to. Lots of big, and yeah, and there, like you said, there's a lot of action. There is a lot of action in
yeah,
this. It's not slow paced at all. The artwork is
yeah,
fantastic. There's explosions and there's Superman doing Superman things, and just it's fantastic. It's so
yeah.
good.
Yeah, so that is definitely, what we consider the big book of the
Yeah,
week and the one we hope everyone goes out and gets because it is so great. And, everyone wants to compare all the absolute books so far. They're all great in their own way, but I do feel like this one has the most world building and the most, uh, maybe widest range of stuff going on.
yeah.
You do have Superman, but I think it's because maybe this has more characters than any of the other ones do so far,
Hmm.
and so we've got a lot to chew on
Yeah.
with the story in
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, it's great. I loved it. If you couldn't tell, we both love it.
Yeah.
You definitely want to pick this up. If you even halfway enjoyed the first one, definitely get this because it's even better than the first one was, which was already excellent,
Yes. I'm very interested to see where it goes after this. There's no like after the credits scene in
Yeah.
this one like there was in the other one, which I think is fine. I just wish this every issue was 48 pages or something
Right, right, right.
because there's so much stuff to uncover here. But yep, fantastic issue of Absolute Superman. There is your A cover. We also have this Manhanini variant. I feel like as the artists maybe learn more about what this cape is,
Hmm.
maybe the way they draw it will change
Yeah.
because like this is the Asterar cover. That looks like a straight up cape,
Yeah.
and in it,
It's not a straight up cape.
it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's way more amorphous
Uh-huh.
than that. But very cool in there. And we did also want to tell you there is the noir edition of #1 out this week as well. So you get the black and white art, which I can't wait to dig into. I know that's going to be awesome to see the full thing in kind of the original inking phase of it. So don't miss out on that one as well. I don't think they're doing this for every issue. I think
No, I
just for
think
the
they only
number
said the first
ones.
ones, yeah.
But yeah, so
Which I'm not. I don't know if I'm as over the moon excited about the noir edition on Absolute Superman because I think more than Batman and Wonder Woman, the colors
yeah,
in Absolute Superman #1 were like really helped it leap off the page.
yeah,
And for those to not be there, I don't. I think it might lose a little bit of its luster. Because just you had the bright green,
yeah.
and then like the glow of his arms and whatever. Like the colors were really great
Yeah,
in
if
in the
anything,
first one.
read this to appreciate how well the
Right.
colors did
Yeah.
on the
But if it
two
does allow
issues.
you to see better the original pencils and inks, then
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
that would be awesome too.
Anything else you want to add about?
I love it. It's so good. I absolutely love it. Oh, I didn't mean to say. I always do that because I say absolutely all the time anyway, and now I can't because of the book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
dad jokes. All right. So next up, I've got Two Face #1, and this is going to be a 6-issue miniseries written by Christian Ward, and the art is by Fabio Veras. So this issue introduces us to something called the White Church, which is kind of like a court run by Gotham's criminal underworld, which may seem strange for criminals to have their own court, but the way it's explained is that Gotham's underworld is a delicate system, a delicate ecosystem that Gotham rests on, and without it, Gotham would crumble. So the criminals do kind of sort of abide by their laws, not
Yeah.
necessarily the law, but their laws. So in this issue's all, or focus is a little bit on Victor Zaz. he has been accused of murdering someone who is high up in the Falcone crime family, somebody who the white church had declared as off limits, kind of like a made man, you know.
Mhm.
Well, that guy got killed, and all signs point to Victor Zsasz. So in comes Harvey Dent, Two Face, to defend Zsasz. And a big part of this issue is that trial, but it's not really a trial like your typical court would be. It doesn't really follow the normal decorum of a typical court, but there is still kind of a trial. And I won't tell you how it all goes, but I will say that Two Face also in this takes on a new assistant. Her name is Lake Cantwell, and Two Face saved her from Zsasz in court because the trial got a little bit heated at one point, and she was impressed with the way that Two Face handled himself and wants to be feared and respected like he is. So there's all of that, and I will say that that trial is wrapped up by the end of this issue. But outside of that, there's also this subplot of Two Face kind of having this internal struggle because the Harvey Dent personality is fully in control, and that's been established in the back corner of the universe for a good while now. He looks like Two Face, but he is full Harvey Dent. He's not really having to flip the coin or whatever. However, the Two Face personality is still back there, and it's trying to get back out. And I think that's gonna be a big plot of this overall series, and maybe that might factor into the larger Batman books at some point if Two Face comes back. So I think each one of these issues is going to be kind of a one and done trial
Yeah, I
with
know the
different
second
characters.
issue is another trial. I don't
Yeah,
remember who it is, but
but there is a through line story as well. There is a subplot, and then just the thing that you read about in each issue mostly is just these little one off trials of different characters of Two Face, I guess, defending them, I guess. But then there's a larger story going on too. So very very cool. I thought it was really fun. So if you're a Two Face fan, I think you will definitely like this. There is a cool part just looking at the cover where he does flip the coin, but there's like a little something extra to it, where it's like, did he really have to do that, or did he
mm,
really want to do it? It was pretty neat. So I like this quite a bit. So we have our A cover right there. Now we do have a couple of variants, but and I guess we should have mentioned this for some of them. We didn't bring all the variants on for this show because the books are on sale now, and there's a few variants that we only have one copy of, and we didn't want to pull them off the shelf in case somebody buys them online or comes back. So check our website, infinityflux.net, if you do want to see what variants we have available. But for this show, I've just got the A cover.
very cool. And another interesting all-in DC title,
Yeah,
which I love that they're, yes, it is Bat related, but it is
there is
a
no Batman in there. There's like one picture of him where they're flashing back. But yeah, it's like all the other all-in books with the white cover,
yeah.
just a nice shot of him with the all-in branding. Yeah, very very cool.
Well, next up, I have a one shot for the holiday seasons. This is Dread the Halls from Image Comics, and this is really interesting. This is by Jordan Hart and Chris Ryle with a bunch of different artists on it because there's a few stories in this. So I'll go over. I don't want to give away too many details about it because that's kind of the fun, especially because they're one and done stories. They're not long anyways, so I don't want to give away too much because that would blow them. But I will say the first story is explores the horrors of carolers and maybe some kind of hypnotic trance they can put you
Oh,
in.
nice.
It was really fun. I
Okay.
really like that one. Where I'll just say it begins where a girl wakes up and she's like, "Where are my headphones?" And the guy's like, "Oh, I had to use them last night for a meeting." She's like, "Oh no, they're about to start," and she like tries to find fireworks to light off, something to like drown out the
Oh
noise
yeah.
of the carolers, and it's like this really intense, almost feels like a quiet place where they're trying to like, oh, we've got to do something before they get here. That was really cool. There's also a story about two young boys who try to trap Santa with a fish hook, like by putting a fish hook in his cookie.
Ow!
Yeah,
No.
and let's just say
Ugh.
it's not Santa they catch,
Oh, okay.
and
Oh no.
it goes really bad for them. There's one that I thought was really really interesting about a guy who has a snowmobile accident and he's very near death, and he stumbles upon an old cabin where there's maybe a ghost of a woman that over she's visited this place over the years on kind of the anniversary of her death, and if that's the case he's just going to keep going back and visiting her through his entire life. Also, there may be a monster involved in this one. It's a really interesting mix of tales. I thought that one was really nice. It's like kind of black and white, like all pencil and everything. And then there is a story about kids fighting Krampus, which kind of is kind of like the cover there with Krampus. That was fun too. It's a little bit more cartoony and everything, but it's a whole plethora of stories written by this team with different artists along the way. I thought was very fun. So check out Dread the Halls if you're looking for a fun holiday read. Not they're not all Christmas. Like I said, the snowmobile one is kind of just winter
Winter, yeah.
based and everything. So really fun one shot.
Well, I have a one-shot holiday anthology as well from DC, and it's funny because we also had one from Marvel this week as well. So a lot of well, Christmassy one-shots this week. This is called DC's Batman Smells Robin Laid an Egg, and there are 8 different short little anthology stories. You guys know how these books work by now. So I won't go over all 8 stories, but I do want to point out a couple of them. There's the second story in here is called Secret Santa, and it features the Secret Six, and
Yeah.
it's written by Drew Maxey, who is one of my mutuals on TikTok.
Fun.
Yeah, he's cool. He's a guy who actually teaches a media literacy class. So he's always making videos about what he teaches his students. He always has a lesson over Watchmen, teaches
Mm.
them about that. And this is his very first written work for DC. He also wrote the DC the game. It's a video game that came out recently with the little like chibi DC
Mm.
characters. He wrote that game as well, and now he has his first actual story in here. So that story is cool, and it's told from Bane's point of view. And the Secret Six do a Secret Santa with each
Yeah.
other, which is kind of new for Bane.
Yeah, he has to figure out like what is this thing and then doesn't necessarily like the idea that there's like a mystery that he doesn't know who did
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So
He's like, I will find out
yeah.
who is this is. But they're also tasked with breaking into this high security fortress and stealing something, which what does that have to do with Secret Santa? You'll have to read to find out. I don't want to tell you, but that story was really it made me want to. I mean, that was like straight up Gail Simone's Secret Six.
Yeah.
Like it made me want to go read the omnibus right there. That was awesome. There's another one called "It's a Criminal Life" with Joker, which is basically "It's a Wonderful Life" but with Joker, and Robin is the ghost who leads him around, which is pretty funny. There's one I really like too called "Dead Man Walking" from Marv Wolfman and Paul Pelletier, whose work I love, and featuring Dead Man. And it's set on Christmas Eve. There's these 2 coal miners that get trapped in a mine, like all the rocks cave in on them, and the guys that are stuck inside can't move the rocks for fear that it might collapse in, but the people on the outside can't do it either for the same reason. So Dead Man possesses the bodies. He goes back and forth between possessing somebody outside to possessing somebody inside, and so that he can see the pattern. If I move this rock, then that'll allow me to go out and then move that rock, and I'll come back in and move this one. That was really, really cool. And then the other one I'll talk about that I really love is called Silent Night, featuring Dr. Midnight.
Yeah.
And this one is written by James Reed, and Francesco Francavilla did the artwork. It's a completely silent issue. There's no dialogue whatsoever. It's set back in 1941, and Dr. Midnight chases down this bank robber, but learns that that bank robber may not have had such a bad reason for robbing that
Mhm.
bank. And it's really cool, like I said, and it's kind of like It's not black and white, but it's kind of all
Yeah.
monotone. It's not like bright colors, and it's all silent. There's no dialogue, but you still get what's going on through the expressions and
And it's pretty
everything.
sad.
Yeah, it's a sad one. Yeah, it's good. But yeah, and there's like I said, there's 4 others. There's one where Superman, after a fight with Toy Man, he starts glowing literally, and he
Yeah.
can't turn it off, and he has to figure out what's going on. So yeah, and there's some other stories too. So yeah, just another really cool Christmas theme anthology books with some different characters. The Secret Six, man, that made me want the Secret Six to come back. Like
Yeah,
I
and
love it.
it is set where they're like having a reunion,
Yeah,
which I like. It's like it could fall right
sure.
at the end of
Keep
the
it
original
going.
Secret Six
DC
run.
get Drew just to write more because I felt like he wrote the characters the right way.
Yeah.
Like it was great. So yeah, we have our A cover right here by Riley Rossmo, and then we brought one of the variants back, and that is the Lee Bermejo Deadman cover. Very cool.
Yeah, also I just really want a Francavilla like JSA or
Yeah.
Dr. Midnight or something story because I love the classic look of that story.
Uh-huh.
That was great. Okay, next up, speaking of JSA, I have JSA number 2. So this is I'm so excited about this one. I read this quite a while ago.
Yeah.
We got it early. Basically, when we read number 1, we could read number 2 as well. And I wish everyone could do that because the big mystery that was set up in the first one about how the JSA are split up, kind of some of the classic team are stuck at the Tower of Fate in another dimension. All the while, kind of the younger set of JSA members are having to deal with kind of some difference of ideology about how to run the JSA. Uh, but all of that's kind of a mystery of like, how did this happen? How did these, Hawkman and Jay Garrick and Alan Scott and all of them, how did they go missing? Well, that is what this issue is where it goes back and shows you the events that led up to that. So it's at 1 week prior to issue number one, and the JSA are investigating kind of a break-in at Ted Knight, who is the original Starman, his observatory where he's kept his costume and everything. It gets broken into, and it seems like it may be the Injustice Society who's behind it, but that's where some crazy stuff goes down and the JSA members get transported. We also, let's see, we see back in the present that things keep getting worse for the younger team, as they may have a mole in their midst or someone who's not who they claim they are and everything. I thought this one was great. It's better than the first issue, but it works really well
Yeah.
reading side by side with the first issue.
And the first issue we both love the first issue, but we're saying this one's even better than that.
Exactly.
Like after I read the first issue, because we had that early copy, I immediately went and read this one because I was already hooked. I was like, I got to find out what happens next, but now it feels like it's going to be 2 months before we get number 3.
Yeah, and also some pretty major stuff happens. We know some from future solicitations about something that happens with Hawkman. There's a lot of really cool stuff in here. I love in the Tower of Fate, you've got Jay Garrick running as fast as he can, checking every door because they know the exit somewhere. You see how the younger Dr. Fate is involved in all of this, and his quick thinking might have saved them, but also hurt them. Just really great, and it's so great to get these classic characters back in an ongoing series.
I feel like we're having our cake and eating it too, because we have the classic JSA members, Alan Scott and Ted Grant and all those guys. But then we also have the new ones like Jade and Obsidian and all those guys too. And they all have a role to play. And I feel like that's done very well. Like nobody's getting left to the wayside.
Yeah, I love seeing characters even like Sand.
Yeah.
And some of those, it's just great having all those characters. But definitely check out JSA number 2 out this week.
And the artwork, I really like the artwork so much. If you guys read the Jay Garrick The Flash miniseries, it's the same artist, the same level of action. You feel the speed when the Flash runs around. Like everything is so cool.
Yep.
All right, so next I've got a new book from Mad Cave called Long Cold Winter. This is going to be a mini series. I'm not sure how many issues. I think maybe 6. This is written by Francisco Perillo, and the art is by Stefano Cartaselli. And this is set in a future where the air that we breathe has become unbreathable. And only a few can afford this microchip that gets implanted under your skin that provides that user with oxygen. And the main character is this big guy right here. His name is Peace Dog. And he's kind of this lone wolf character. He's, we first see him just eating by himself in like the sushi bar or whatever. And apparently there's a bounty on his head, but we don't know why. And we see some goons, your typical like, hey, there's a bend on your head. We're going to take you down. And of course, Peace Dog makes short work of them because he's a pretty good fighter. But after that fight in that sushi bar, he is approached by a kid, a robot, but who looks like a kid, and the robot kid's name is the Kid. So he was like a little kid robot. Well, he's on the cover right there too. Right there, that guy, that kid. And he wants Peace Dog's help getting back to this robot community called Hopeland. Apparently, there's like a lot of robots there, and he wants to get there. It's a safe haven for robots. And Peace Dog at first is like, leave me alone, kid, whatever. But then he reluctantly agrees, and they start their journey. And I assume that this is going to be all about the obstacles they face along the way, on the way to this place. Because the kid tells Peace Dog, hey, if you help me do this, you can stay there. And it's a very peaceful place, and he's like, all right, that sounds cool. So yeah, they're going to go on this journey to try to find this promised land. And who knows if it's going to be one of those stories where, oh, it turns out that place doesn't exist or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, it was a really cool story. So if you're looking for something, kind of give me like vibes of me like Lone Wolf and Cub a little bit or something like that.
The Scott Snyder Nocturnal.
Kind of.
Where it's like, oh, there's this promised land and we've got to like face the elements to get to
kind of, something like that. So really cool. And this is the only cover, or at least the only one we have.
Well, next up, I've got Batgirl #2, and this is such a great series. I feel like this uh, knew what it was supposed to be and nailed it because this is another really action-packed issue, but really digestible. So in the first one, of course, it was kind of right out the gate. Lady Shiva showed up to this building where she called her daughter Cassandra Cain, Batgirl, there and basically warned her, hey, there's these people coming and they're going to try to kill both of us. We got to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love that premise that is like so just straightforward.
Yeah, in my note I said this is a very simple issue, but I mean that in the best way possible.
Yeah.
It's not anything extra cerebral or whatever. It's just a fun action issue of Batgirl and Lady Shiva fighting a bunch of ninjas.
Yeah, and so then this one, they face off against them, and she says they're called the Unburied.
Yeah.
And we don't know too much about that in the first issue, but that is explained more in this one. And a big thing that happens in this is Lady Shiva gets hurt. She gets shot, and she has to trust Batgirl to take her somewhere where she can be operated on when she's very untrusting of this. And Batgirl does take her to this place that it seems like it's a place she frequents pretty often.
And I didn't know if that family there. Yeah, and I didn't know if those characters maybe popped up in the original Cassandra Cain series. Sure. I didn't recognize them, but
it's cool. It's kind of one of those like back room, like this lady who works here like will operate kind of a night nurse type thing. Like if
it's like in the back of a restaurant or something.
Yeah. So that's really cool. And learns that this woman who works there who helps Lady Shiva, Cassandra Cain helped train her kids in like self-defense and everything, and so she kind of owes her a little bit. But we do the big thing is we learn the origin of the Unburied, and we meet a key member of them named Calvin the Unseen.
Yeah,
who seems like he's going to be the face of the organization.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing for this is the first appearance of a new villain.
Yeah,
that seems like I want to say I read or heard somewhere that they intend on making this villain like a big arch nemesis for Batgirl.
That's great. Yeah. He's really cool. We don't see a whole lot of him in this.
He's got a cool design.
Yeah, he's got a very cool design, and I feel like what's so great about this series is the overall theme of like this mother-daughter and their trust issues and everything. Yeah. But through these interactions, Lady Shiva, who maybe didn't think so highly of Cassandra once she kind of left her, prison she basically kept her in, didn't think too highly of her, but now she's seeing how capable she is out on the streets by herself, and I think that's a really cool story that they're telling in this one. So highly recommend. This is just a miniseries, right? This is,
you believe so, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's great. I definitely think if you're a Batgirl fan, a Cassandra Cain fan, this does her justice. So that is our A cover for that. And we have this. This is the Jorge Jimenez cover, which is
I like that one a lot.
And that is it for the variants we have right here.
Well, I just want to tell you a little bit about Batman number 155. I did not get a chance to read this one all the way through, but just wanted to let you know that the next issue of Batman is out, and there's only 2 more after this before we get into Hush 2. But as far as this issue goes, there was a pretty shocking revelation last issue about somebody confessed to the murder of Mayor Nakano. And in case you didn't read it, I'm not going to tell you who, but it was very shocking to the point where I was like, I don't know if that's right, even though that person is confessing. Are we sure? Well, Batman isn't sure at all. And Batman's like, I don't believe it. I'm going to find this out. So if you read number 154, that big mystery, that like Batman is hell-bent on finding out the truth behind that in this issue. So just wanted to let you know that the new issue is out today. So there's our A cover right there. And we got some cool variants too that I definitely wanted to show you. This is our Tony Harris and Jeremy Clark variant with Penguin. I really like this John Boy Myers cover. I love the colors on that. Yeah. And then this is the shoot, what do they call these? I
don't know if these are like a holiday card or something.
Yeah, I can't remember that. We talk about them on Comics from the Future, but I can't remember. They have a name, but I can't remember who's the artist? Chris Zulo. Yeah. I can't remember the name of the theme of these, but yeah, this is a really cool one for Batman.
Well, next up for me, and last for me, I believe, is DC Horror Presents number 2, which feels, when the first one came out, it was right in time for Halloween.
Right.
When the second comes out, We're talking about Christmas
Yeah.
books, but that's okay because you can read a horror book any time of year. And this one is another great issue. I was really impressed with this one. So this has two stories in it as well. They're kind of standalone stories. And this first story is by Latoya Morgan and Tom Derenick. And this one is really interesting. So in it, you can't quite tell, at least I couldn't tell, if this is happening in the DC universe or like our universe.
Mm.
Because it's set on Halloween and we have two kids or kind of two teenagers that are dressed up like DC characters. But it's never said that, this is like I'm dressed like Batman. The guy over in Gotham, like,
Yeah.
but because he's dressed like George Clooney Batman, he's got the bat nipples and everything.
That's scary. That's horror enough right
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
So he's dressed like that, and the girl's dressed like Wonder Woman. And this guy, wants to impress her, and he has a like I don't know if he stole it or he's from a job or something. He has a key card to get into a TV studio, and it looks like a place. It's a where they film this girl's like favorite show that feels a lot like Gotham, like the TV show
Oh,
Gotham,
okay. Yeah.
because she's like, oh, look at all, this looks like the precinct. Here's where it looks way smaller here than it does on TV. And he takes her to like one of the sets where it's a prison cell for the ventriloquist. So whether the show is in universe or not, the ventriloquist is a character on the show.
Okay.
And she's like, "Oh, that's so cool." And they find out that Scarface, the dummy's there. But maybe this is the real Scarface.
Oh.
It's a really weird, like the whole time you don't quite know, like, is this like in our universe there's a DC TV show like about Gotham and everything? Or is this literally within that? Very creepy, and it has a cool twist ending and everything. But I thought this was really fun, especially because here's the thing about like he's wearing the George Clooney suit,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, Batman never really had that suit, so how did he learn about this?
Yeah.
I thought that was a really interesting story. And then we have a story by Aaron Sagers and Ryan Kelly, and it's where the Iceberg Lounge is haunted. And Penguin is freaking out because it's being haunted by the ghosts of like henchmen he let die and like buried them in unmarked graves,
Okay.
or maybe even some people that he was in a roundabout way killed. And he's being haunted by those, so he hires an investigator. And this is the really interesting thing about this issue is he hires an investigator named Tennyson Stacks, and I couldn't find any reference of that character anywhere. But they feel like a pretty like fleshed out character.
Okay.
So I like, Googled like DC Comics, Tennyson Stacks, all this stuff. Couldn't find anything. But he gives me a little bit of like uh like a 70s Doctor Who vibe. He's got like a little hat and everything. And he has this weird ability where he has basically he calls it I think his ambassador, and it's a ghost that comes out of him and talks to the ghosts that are there. At first, I was like, "Is this like the Spectre?" Because it kind of has that Jim
Oh,
Gordon,
yeah.
but the ghost that kind of comes out of him is blue and speaks with these ghosts and everything. And so clearly, he's got a power. Or maybe he's like a Constantine type related character. But there is a twist to that story as well that's really fun. And maybe maybe the ghosts were haunting the Iceberg Lounge for a different reason.
Oh, okay.
So, really fun. Two stories in this, but I thought they were both great and both really interesting. Both had a big enough twist that made me like think about them after the fact, and I think that is super great about that one. So we have our A cover right here, which is the connecting cover with the other two, because the Wonder Woman one is the third one. Very horrifying with the bat crawling out of Batman's mouth. And we have this Tom Fowler and Bill Crabtree with Crypto, who found a bone,
And more.
and more.
Well, last for me is another one that I did not get a chance to read, but just wanted to let you know it's out this week. This is Batman Santa Claus Silent Night Returns #2. Just want to let you know it's out this week because this is weekly, and the last issue comes out on December 26th. So we're going to have a new issue of this series every single week, all the way through Christmas. And I do believe that we get some Etrigan in here.
Yeah.
I think in Dead Man, the solicitations mention some other supernatural characters entering the fray.
Specifically too, because the main heroes are out of commission,
Yeah, for
so
sure.
Damien had to pull together like some
Yeah.
other characters.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So yeah, sorry that I can't tell you more about it, but it is out this week, so grab it if you like the first one. This is our A cover with a nice, I was gonna say family dinner, but I don't know if it's really family. And then we have this really cool variant by Stephen Bliss with Batman and Santa Claus. You can see, I talked about last week, Santa Claus's cool big barbarian design, so you can see that right there. Very cool.
And the other thing I want to talk about this week is everyone go and pick up this giant omnibus for Aquaman by Peter David. I'm so excited this is out. It's huge. It's $150 and it's well worth it. We've still got some in stock, but it's my pick of the week. Is this giant Aquaman omnibus.
Yeah, mine's sitting right over there.
It stands up by itself.
Yeah, right.
Well, that is it for our part 2 of our now not early comic review video, our on-time comic review video. But hopefully you learned a lot and you head over to infinityflux.net right now. You'll be better prepared for what you find there and you can order accordingly. Or when you go into your local comic book store, you have a better idea of what's all this stuff on the shelf. That is what we are here for.
And hey, if you did not pick up your books today, then this is still an early comics preview video for you. Yeah. And we will try to get back, we'll get back on track as soon as we can. But again, this time of year, shipping schedules get crazy, release dates for comics get crazy. So doing the best we can, but it'll eventually all work itself out and we'll be back to normal.
Yeah, most stores also don't even have their like Boom and Dynamite and that kind of stuff. That probably won't be here until Friday. So yeah, things are a little out of kilter, but as stuff becomes available, it will be out infinityflux.net. So keep checking back throughout the week just to make sure if there's something that you thought was going to come out, but it's not there, check there. And then hopefully very soon we'll be back on track as soon as,
as soon as the holidays have settled down.
Yeah, we love the holidays, but it does kind of throw some speed bumps in what we do. But again, thank you so much for watching, and until next time,
see ya.
See ya.